I guess I could say I've first started doing some work with clams 43 years ago, in Palau first. And we reared the first gigas, the larger species that are here, in Palau. And then I came to Australia in late '81 and began my PhD with the University of New South Wales, doing all the work up north here. And the work was on reproduction and recruitment in giant clams and their early life history. So I did a lot of field work. I covered actually 57 reefs on the barrier reef along with coral trout surveys. And we found some very interesting things. But I ended up looking at high density populations of giant clams, which you will find nowhere else in the world. The Great Barrier Reef is the last large-scale area where you can find these clams. They've been overfished in other places to their death. So, it's very important that we also have learned to culture them. And some of the clams that we produced at the Orpheus Island Research Station that I work with, we sent seed to several places in the Pacific, Fiji, Tonga, Cook Islands, to the Philippines. In the Philippines, they reared them to a second and third generation, and they put them out on some of their marine reefs. And, it's wonderful to see that. In 2012, we set up these 2 snorkel trails. And there's a card here. It's the kind of card that we sell for $5. And then in 2013, we got permits to move giant clams into the trails. And that's a special thing, to have them there. And they were put in small clumps, because that is where they belong if they're going to have successful fertilization. It was a great thing to have them in there, and also to be able to follow how they do. One reason that I suggested to have them in the snorkel trails, as well as on the other side, is in case of a cyclone. Because cyclones often will hit one side but not the other. So in case there's a lot of damage to the clams on one side, we still should have some. I think it's a wonderful project, and to see in future, to see the corals, it'll be very, very interesting for divers to see that and get photos of it and see how it develops. I spoke with Jason a fair bit as well, and he was so keen to have giant clams involved in this. They're an emblem of the Great Barrier Reef, and you just will not see them like you see them here anywhere else. And I think it's a great tribute to the clams, and I really appreciate that he's chosen me to talk about as well. But it's the clams, and to have a statue coming out of a clam like that is wonderful. And I hope that brings people to think about the clams too in the ocean and what's happened to them in a lot of places.